So, my life is pretty lackluster of all things. I don't really hate my life, but it's not what I imagined it'd be. I thought I'd be further ahead by now, doing something big, something grand. I thought it'd be more exciting, but it kind of just feels average if I'm being honest. I the lines of like living and surviving are kind of, they're separating further and further. Every day I'm kind of just like fighting to survive instead of actually enjoying my life. I feel like I'm capable of more, but I'm kind of just like stuck in the present. I'm not really able to escape. It feels like time is moving faster than my progress I'm making. And like every day, I kind of just like sit in quiet and silence and think that like this can't be it. And it honestly, I think it boils down to that the American dream isn't what it used to be. Right? Back, I wasn't alive for this, but the main, American dream was that you could do anything and accomplish anything, right? And like the way you do that is you go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, you get a job right out of college, you'd be able to buy a house and you have the stability and you wouldn't really need to like worry, right? Once you got that degree and all that education, you'd be set. You say that job and don't need to worry. But now, I mean, first off, school's expensive, right? You go to school for 4 years and you're what, $50,000 in debt? Fucking $100,000 in debt? It's crazy. And then you go through all that schooling and then it's time to look for a job. But finding a job alone takes months. And let alone the people who don't have a degree, who didn't go to college to not get that debt, right? Getting a job for them is even harder because everyone's looking for a degree and all this experience. But where are we supposed to get it? And then, on top of that, trying to buy a house, like the wages do not match the cost of living. It is so expensive to live nowadays. And trying to buy a house, don't even get me started. Everyone is basically forced to rent because housing costs so much. And really it all just feels fragile. Like we're standing on like a glass pane above the Grand Canyon. It's insane. And, it really is just because the American dream was built in a different economical era, right? We're so many decades beyond when the American dream was, like, the popular idea, the popular way of thinking. But we inherited the expectation without the same opportunities, right? The world is in such a different place now than when it was when the American dream was first proposed. And the idea still exists, right? There's still the opportunity, there's still the ability to have this dream, but it is so much harder to access. Life in general is just harder, and it's not just the money, it's also the social pressure, right? Social media has been raising the standards of normal for decades. I mean, I've gone through all through school with seeing these supermodels and all these famous people doing these things every single day. And, like, setting the standard and who we should be as people, and everyone is just in a copycat state, just trying to be someone else instead of themselves. Success, it looks so much bigger and louder than it actually is. It's so much easier to share the wins and not have people see your failures because, you can blast a great thing that happens to you online and then stop and everyone just assumes everything's fine, right? If you don't post about the bad days, no one knows you have bad days. And everyone just seems ahead. The amount of times that I've scrolled and saw some 18-year-old millionaire, it, it hurts personally because, being almost 23 is like, what am I doing? This kid's making millions while I'm stuck, working a 9 to 5. It's very, very frustrating. It, and on the whole entire world, there's constant global uncertainty. There's just everyone is unsure of who they are and who they should be and where to be and what to do. The the average lifestyle is so expensive, both mentally and physically. It's so hard to just live, you know? It's not like what it used to be, what everyone used to talk about how it being. There's always some threat in the background. There's always, the economy's doing bad, so the cost of living goes up, and we need to spend more of our paychecks on necessities instead of things we want. Or people are getting laid off because the companies aren't making as much money because no one's buying things. So you lose your job, and there goes your economy. Or like, the world events, all the wars and the fighting and the disagreements. Like, it's always such a aggressive state that we're in. It's so hard to try and relax and, you know, enjoy the good moments when everything feels so unstable. You know, basically, going back to like the jobs, I mean, the amount of applications that I had to put in to try and get my first job, right? I graduated college, about a year ago, this past May, so it's almost been a full year since I've been out of college. And it it took me 6 months to get a job. Granted, I started searching in January, and it took me from January all the way until August to find a job. That was I think I applied to over 200 different places, and I heard back from maybe 4 of them and got a few interviews, and I got hired, thankfully. But then that job was awful, right? I took the first job that reached their hand out because I was desperate, and that job was honestly terrible. I lasted 5 months exactly before I quit, and I was searching for another job, and I had gotten one, but, like, that also took another 100 applications and another 3 months of searching, and sure, I'm at a better job now. This job is nice. I've been here about a month and a half, but it's it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be all this effort to get one job, and then you have to take the job that reaches their hand out first, regardless of who they are, because you need money to live. All these jobs require so much experience. I have a 4-year degree. I have a bachelor's degree. And granted, it's in business, right? It's nothing grand or extravagant, but I should at least be able to get a job as an entry level manager, no? Like a floor man, even a team lead, which I am now, but it took like that long. And not to brag, but my resume is pretty good. I did a lot in college. I did a lot of internships, a lot of putting myself out there, a lot of connecting, and it still took that long. It's crazy. I don't I don't understand how people are surviving without a stable income. People are going from job to job, working, odd jobs and doing like DoorDash. I do not know how they are able to survive. It baffles me. And, another thing is people who try to start a business, right? The American dream used to be all about starting your own business, and like working for yourself and working to solve a problem. But as good as it sounds and as nice as it sounds, it's so risky. Because not only are you competing with all these other companies that are slowly monopolizing the market, but also, like, you have to balance this business on top of, working, on top of your chores and your other things, and let alone, God forbid you have kids or, a partner or people you need to look after. Like, you just have no time, or it encapsulates all your time, and you can't enjoy, the simple thing. It's just not everyone is able to quit their job and chase their dream and make the business happen because we're all stuck saving, for the next big emergency that happens because something's bound to go wrong and we need the money to, be able to survive that. It's just, it's so infuriating. And all these people online, all these influencers, are like, I'm going to help you escape the system. And, they make you pay all this money. And, back in high school, I fell for this stuff, right? I paid thousands of dollars to these people to show me how to, make money online and escape the matrix and all that. And sure, I learned some valuable life lessons and I learned a few skills, but I wouldn't say my life is any better. I think I just have more questions than I had before. And I guess on one hand, it's all about, taking the risk and like trying to make the jump. And maybe I didn't put enough effort in. I'm not saying that it's their fault completely for why things didn't work out, but I think they're just making money off of people's dreams. And I think that's honestly wrong. I don't think you should be making money off people's dreams. I think you should be making money off of getting people to their dreams, you know? It's just it's very infuriating. We're all, you know, influencers like to glamorize entrepreneurship and they don't really share, the downsides to it. And there's always this fear of being stuck and failing publicly, and they don't share any of the hardships. And then some share a little bit, but you're not there at the 3 a.m. breakdown of them almost being homeless, right? We don't see that side of them because who wants to, show that side? So personally, I really don't know where to go from here. I don't have a clear answer. I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a perfect move. Um, I'm pretty uncertain and it's really uncomfortable. But if I'm being honest, I'm just gonna keep walking. Um, I might not know the destination, but I do know that standing still is not gonna help me. If I stand still, I'm not I'm not gonna be able to make any progress anywhere. I'd rather make the small moves and, dramatic or slowly progress than like make a giant leap and fall and be stuck in a pit. I want to focus on like the short-term wins and build skills quietly instead of like announcing to the public that I'm doing something. It's I just need to keep walking, one foot in front of the other. And overall, I think what I'm starting to realize is maybe the American dream isn't dead, but we may just need to redefine it. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I'm not done trying, that's for sure. I'm gonna try everything I can. Cause if you're anything like me, I do not want to be stuck working in this job forever. So here's to hoping there's more to life than just this monotonous task of waking up, going to work, paying bills, and going to sleep.